Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting-edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And we are going to, I don't know about you, but the topic tonight with our incredible guest, it kind of bends your brain a little bit to try and really figure out the things that we're going to try and figure out by having incredible conversations tonight. But before we get started, as always, I want to open up with gratitude. So grateful that you're here. So grateful that you're in the chat room with us. It's always so interesting. So grateful if you throw $1 in the tip jar. You know, we're expanding. We not only have, of course, our Tuesday night show, we've got the Friday night at 7:30, the Quantum Wellbeing Show. We've got Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, the Paranormal Show, and we've got a whole lot of other things going on that are not necessarily productions, but, you know, meetings and masterminds, and, you know, we're manifesting amazing things as we are heralding in this age of Aquarius and this new consciousness that we're bringing in. So if you're interested about any of that, please send us an email to mastermindconnection@gmail.com. We'll invite you to our Sunday afternoon spiritual think tank. You can come hang out for an hour with us, see how you feel about it, and, you know, you just might want to come back. So Augie, I am so excited to get into this conversation. Please tell us the amazingness about our guest.
Oh, yes, this is going to be so good. I've been looking forward to this show for about a year. It's about the time I started texting him back and forth. And yeah, this is going to be so good. We have Eliton Al-Amin with us. And for those of you that like to surf the internet while you're listening, I'm going to give you his website. Go there and check around, and you're going to find something that you can't live without. So go have a good journey. And that website is elitomalamin.org. elitomalamin.org. And also, I want to say it also here, how to get a hold of him is Elitom, Elitom at gmail.com. And you can also...
Do you want to spell that, Augie? You want to spell that real quick for everybody?
Say, what was that?
Do you want to spell that real quick for everybody?
Yes, I can. ELAMINELITOM at gmail.com. And that's Eliton Al-Amin. And this is going to be a phenomenal story because I've been looking at him on YouTube and places, and it doesn't seem like he's doing a lot of shows. And because he's probably more busy doing things than talking about it. And that's definitely right now. I've been talking to him on Messenger for about a year. I asked him to become a guest on Broadcast Team Alpha, and he turned me down. And I've been after a year to come here. So, hey, folks, that says something for persistence. I'm glad he is here because this is going to be so good. And he is almost like a mythical person, one we have heard of. You know, the one that can live without food, ingesting food for years. And the Western scientists, of course, they poo-poo that. They say, no, it can't be done on that. Yeah, that's because they refuse to look outside of their little box. And for those of them that looks outside of the box a little bit, it messes with their paradigm. And they usually come and jump right back in the box again because of the establishment don't like them talking about this because there is money interests and stuff involved. And at present, though, he is walking across Africa, teaching by example. And he has a class coming up very shortly that I want him to talk about because that sounds very interesting and you guys should really listen to that. And he's also an author. It's Okay to Be Healthy is one of his books. Human Food Synthesis is another one. And I also found another one, that Breatherian Nuggets on Amazon. And you can find the rest of the books on Amazon also. And there's meditations there. So you need to check him out on Amazon because there's good stuff there. And he has been on Supreme Master TV, Freedom Generation TV. He is now a symbol of perfect health. He was not always that way when he started out in the year 2000. And he started out with fasting, and he's going to explain how he did it. And since he was able to do it, everybody can do this. And for him, in a few months, he lost a lot of weight and became perfectly healthy. So I would say, without any more ado from me, I'm going to say welcome to the show here, Eliton Al-Amin.
All right. Thank you.
Wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. So I'm thinking back to some time when I was a heavy set girl, and then I did a bodybuilding contest. And I'm thinking back to the food program that I had to do that was so stringent. And then when it was finally over and I achieved my fitness goal, how I was starving. So I'm really curious to find out how you're doing what you're doing. But before I ask you that question, I'm so curious. What was your path? You know, what were your mile markers along the way that led you to where you are? I mean, when you started out as a little boy, right, you didn't really realize you were going to go and become a breatharian. How did that happen for you?
Well, actually, when I look back on it, it seemed like there was like a connect the dots that brought me all the way to where I'm at now so I can see where everything connected. But however, you asked a good question. That back then as a little boy, I didn't know where I was going to be right now. However, but when I look at the fullness of it, I say, okay, I can see that.
Wow. So what was the door? What was the gateway, you know, that really led you in? This is an extreme lifestyle. I mean, some people don't even know that it even exists. So how did that door open for you?
Well, actually, in the whole development of my life, now that I look at it, I'm going to use a word here. There's a lot of luck that's involved.
Okay.
A lot of luck that's involved because everything I'm doing now, I can see as I was growing up, what I was exposed to helps me right now. And I'll explain. Sort of like, for instance, I was born at the time in a Muslim family that was practicing Muslims. So I was already as a child having the experience of fasting, you know, during Ramadan and also diet changes. So I picked that up as a child, which some people, when they try to pick things up as an adult, it's a lot harder for them. Then I also grew up athletic, which means a lot because there's a lot of people who struggle with exercise. So that was already installed in me. But last but not least, I grew up in a family where we actually had a family library in the house, which makes a difference because I love to study, learn, and research. So all of those factors actually developed me and helped me where I'm at right now because those are things I actually love to do.
Wow. So when did you stop eating food, and what does that look like? Do you really not eat any food, or what does that look like?
Well, this is what happened. I've been on this path for 20 plus years. And then when you're starting now, you do learn to go longer and longer without food. So you have many long periods and spurts until your body started adjusting gradually and slowly. It's not all at once. So this is what people got to learn. Because meditation and energy cultivation is the foundation of it. And this is actually, and I might as well say it, new to the West. A lot of this information basically came out over the last couple of decades. And over the last decade, it really speeded up dealing with frequency, vibration, and energy to the masses. But dealing with the Western mind, they still don't understand, how should we say, the development over years. Because that Western mind is an instant gratification still. You know, they be bringing up the 21-day processes, this and that. And in the reality, to be a master at anything isn't just a few weeks. Right. So this is actually for the long haul. And this is what people got to understand as you're developing to transform yourself. Now, we do have energy channels in the body. And that's new to a lot of people. But once you start really learning how to meditate, to open up the blockages that's in your body, this will help get the body healthier energetically. And it will also, you'll start looking at your hunger differently. It's really not hunger at all. It was just that a person was feeling uncomfortable because the energy is not flowing within the vessel like it should. So you'll really start learning and learning how to open up those energy channels and keep them open through a lifestyle.
Wow.
I hope this is making sense.
Yeah.
Oh no, it makes good sense. I absolutely get it, because so much of what is wrong with bodies has to do with energy blocks. But it's a little bit of a reach for most of us to relate that to the stuff that we put in our mouth that goes in through digestion and then, supposedly builds our muscles. I mean, I've seen your pictures. You are ripped. You are buff. You are in, such incredible shape. And, logic would say, well, he needs to be eating, X amount of grams of protein today, every day, and carbohydrates, and that's not happening, right? That's not happening.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And see, our mind is our most powerful tool we have to work with. See, all of this have to come into play. So not only you're developing yourself with meditation and energy cultivation, you're also dealing with fasting. And it's not about how long you go, it's that you stay consistent because you want to get the body in a new routine, a new habit. Because that's all we're doing is going off a habit we call karma. So you're developing a new habit. So even when if you never fasted before, when you first start, it's hard, just like anything. But the more you stay consistent with it, it'll become easier and easier as you're cultivating yourself. But also going to that mindset. Oh, man, that's the real big one. Because it does take a more positive thought process, breaking old belief systems, because our mind is so powerful, it can either block energy coming into the vessel or because it is creating our reality. So you want to bring a new paradigm shift in, you do need a new thought process that's different than the one a person has now. And it's not about forcing it. It does grow gradually or slowly as you're cultivating yourself, because people got to understand when new energy pathways open up in the body, it does affect the thinking. But when you're trying to change your thinking, the body's still blocked up, a lot of people are still unsuccessful in changing their thought process.
Yeah.
And
No,
go ahead. Go ahead, Augie.
Just ask a quick one here, because the body needs energy to function. And you have, I mean, you told me off camera that you don't really sleep much. You work all the time and you do stuff all the time. And the body needs energy. Where do you get the energy? Is that from what we call prana, where you are able to tap into the universal source and funnel that through the mind, or it shows up in the body? Or where does the energy show up from?
Oh, good question. All right, we got all these names like prana, cosmic prana. In science today, they use the word life force energy, chi, ki. We can use all these words, but it's talk about the same thing. Organ, all of these different words. But see, what's happening is this air that we live in, this atmosphere, let's just go there. This atmosphere has a whole lot of power in it. So we say living off the air, absolutely. But your body is only going to give you enough that you can handle. That's what it boils down to. And I use that word cosmic prana. Cosmic just means all the energetic forces coming outside the planet that's bombarding the planet. Now, you can't see it, taste it, or smell it, but we're constantly being, all right, let's go to the solar energy. The sun is our local star, and it's the primary energy source externally of this planet. And we got to go there. And it's not about standing up under the sun. That's what fuels our atmosphere that we're living in. So that's why meditation is the foundation, because when you get in a comfortable position and relax the body, it allows more energy to come into the body. You're charging up like a cell phone, basically. Your body is the first wireless technology. But this air that we live in, this atmosphere, has unlimited potential. And we have technologies out there that's really advancing itself more and more on how to harvest this energy from the atmosphere. This is what we're talking about. So that's why meditation and energy cultivation, like the different forms of yoga, breath work, qigong, tai chi, all of those are designed for it.
Yeah, and
I just had a great post that I put on not too long ago about muscles. Now, I've been knew about this. That's why I exercise physically. Muscles store energy. But when the muscles contract, and this is what anybody, it does let loose hormones into the blood of the body that actually circulates around the body, go to the brain, nourishes the body. So it's giving off these antidepressants. That's why exercise does make a person release a lot of tension, stress, depression, deals with your thought process. And people need to understand how to use their body as a tool or a vessel, because that's what it is. This is our house. This is our vehicle that we live in. Right. So it's learning how to use it.
Amazing. So how many hours a day is devoted to very specific breath work? I mean, we're breathing all the time, but what is your routine besides doing your workouts, besides walking across the planet? What does that look like? Yeah.
Well, for me right now, I've been on this path for 20 plus years. So there is no routine. Oh, did I say this? When you start out, it's sort of like when you start out with yoga or Tai Chi. And you'll get a set time. I practice yoga every day at this time, or Tai Chi every day at this time. That's how a person's going to start out. But over a period of time, there's a saying where it says life becomes yoga. Life becomes Tai Chi. So you have a different type of thought process than the average person. So even when I'm just sitting down, I can feel my body's doing Qigong. The energy's running because I learned to relax in every situation. Now, of course, you're doing your walking and it's just something you always do. It became part of your identity, and it's not a practice anymore.
Right. Wow.
Oh, man, this is great. You'd be surprised what the body could do, because all you did was rewire it or recondition it so it behaves differently.
And you drink water. Is that the only thing that you drink, or?
Well, water is actually born and it has no taste to it. See what it is? What it is, when a person feels thirsty, one of the factors is the body has a lot of mucus in it. You know, the coating on the tongue, you feel thirsty, the body feels like it needs something to drink. But let's take it even further. When you got good blood flow, let's start there. Good blood flow, the blood is circulating. The saliva in our mouth is basically filtered blood. So when you got a good blood flow going to the brain all the way to the feet, it don't have all these blockages blocking it up, automatically, because how it's circulating around the body from the left to the right, you are a vortex. It's sort of like a river going off. So that's why there's meditations that teach you how to put your tongue at the roof of your mouth, because your brain is sitting in basically water or blood. So it will start coming down, and you will always stay hydrated because it's dealing with the life is in the blood. It's the blood circulation. Now, keep in mind, too, that the air we live in, let's get real with it, it has moisture in it. The air you in right now, if you was to take your hand and just go real slow and swipe the air, you will feel the moisture. So you're actually living in water. What is water? H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. What's in the air? Your body's creating all these things. It will grab the molecules it needs, or the atoms it needs. You know, we say free electrons. What is that? That's basically atom jumping into a molecule to make it transform into something else. So you're working at that type of level now. So that's why the more you start cultivating, the more you start getting this knowledge of this skill, the more your thinking start changing. A vitamin, a mineral, what is that? Oh man, this is good. It's sort of like right now. It's sort of like right now I'm here in Tanzania, and I'm looking at the people's body structures here. Now, mind you, the people ain't running around talking about vitamins, minerals, and this and that, but I'm looking at some really nice body structures that people have that will put somebody to shame who is in health working on their body from the West. So it's all a thought process thing here. We got to go there.
Yeah. Yes. And so how does your day look? I mean, do you have a very a very specific routine, like you wake up in the morning and you do your meditation, or how does that work for you?
Well, it's just like now, it's 3 a.m. here. So even before we got on this broadcast, I was basically meditating. And so at one level, when the sun do rise up, do I meditate again? Maybe. Or I might just go out for a walk. You know, the routine changes. So that's why I said after a while, you're not robotic anymore. You don't have to, because every day is different. So that's what they mean by going with the flow. There's different time periods you'll be up, this and that. But you're so much into your body, you should be able to know when a blockage is developing. It could be from too much pollution, this and that. The average person's body is just so numb, they don't know that a blockage is there or one is developing. So usually when a person gets sick or have a disease, the blockage been there for years. It's just manifested a certain way to where now they feel it. Now they know it's there. This is all it is. Oh, man, this is good.
Exactly. No, that's so true. That is so true. And it doesn't feel like a discipline to not eat. I mean, this is your life. This is second nature. Do you get invited to dinner? Or how does that happen?
Oh, absolutely not. I went through those phases in the beginning. I went through those phases in the beginning years, but then it got to the point where I realized there's certain places I just don't need to be. Now, of course, I meet nice people all over the place. You know, invitations are still there. Like a man came to see me one day just to meet me. And then he said, do you want to eat lunch? And we had this good conversation where I said, no, because tomorrow I'm going to the beach. He said, but that's tomorrow. What about now? I said, what I do now is take my time on the beach tomorrow. Oh, we had this conversation. So you're grabbing responsibility for your whole life. So this isn't forcing it. Actually, it's a feeling state. You want to feel a certain way, so you take responsibility. If I do this action, it's going to make me feel this way. Now, it ain't nothing to be mad at. You ain't beating up on yourself, but that's one of the consequences that you did for yourself. So when you get back on that path and say, I want to go this direction, that's what we mean by your discipline will start developing and getting a lot stronger.
Right.
See, it's just like it's just like anything in life. The three things we got is I'm gonna use that word hard work, which people don't like to hear. If you want to be successful at something, you got to put in some work.
Right.
And that also goes with discipline. So in those beginning levels, you like when I tell people when they start fasting, just fast once a week. But people can't comprehend what is one day going to do. One day is awesome, especially when you keep it consistently on the same day. Because what you're doing is you're reprogramming the body, because the body is in a universal cycle also, dealing with the solar phases, the moon phases, the season phases. So you're getting your body into that new habit with these phases. Oh, man, this is good. Mm-hmm. So you got this hard work and discipline, but then the other factor is skill or talent. So you are developing a skill. Now, the thing about a skill, anybody can learn a skill, but there's certain people who have a talent for something. There's certain people that have a talent for something. And usually, no matter how much you learn the skill, when you run into somebody who has a talent for something, especially when they put in the hard work and got discipline, that person is light years from the other one, even though they did the hard work. That's just the way it is. So when it comes down to meditation and exercise and working on your thought process, studying and stuff like that, those are things that are my talent. I love to do it. So it's not a skill that I had to develop. It's already there. All I had to do was put the hard discipline behind it, so it seems easy.
Yeah. Yes. And
I'm wondering something, and that is that there seems like there's a physiological process in your body that is being stronger and stronger and developing itself. But I am not sure if it would work just by physiological process only. The mind is involved. Through meditation, you may be able to tap into another type of energy that also adds to it or help you align yourself with your intentions somehow. How big a portion is the mind of this or the body?
Well, this is the key. The mind and the body is one. We are a system of energy held together by thought. You make changes to the body, it changes the mind. If you make changes to the mind, it changes the body. The average person thinks there's a disconnection. So when they say mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, energy, it's all the same thing. Now you said the key words, is there another energy you're tapping into? No. Everybody got is using the same energy. We're breathing the same air. What the person on this path did was they allowed their body to be able to channel more of the energy than the average person. This is what we mean by raising your vibration. You're getting a better and stronger energy flow. It's sort of like cars, for instance. There's some cars that got bigger engines than others. You see what? It's the same concept. So that's why you're putting in work and effort to get a bigger, stronger energy flow. That's why this is basically a science.
You get your energy from the air, so to speak. And Then there are sun gazers that get it from the sun because there's energy in the sun. Ask anybody with a solar panel on the roof. They got light bulbs in the house, so there's energy there too. What do you see the difference between what you're doing and what the sun gazers are doing?
Well, sun gazing, there's a history on why it came out. I forgot his name. But when he brought that technique up, that was just to make people aware of the primary energy source of the planet. It's just an awareness thing. Now, the air wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for the sun. Actually, the air is the sun. You see how you start breaking up the vision?
Yeah.
I got to go here only to get this, and it's all one and the same. That's why you can meditate in the basement of the house and get an energy flow. You can meditate in the attic. It's all the same energy. It's sort of like a fish in a fish tank. And, you know, he got his house down there, but all through the fish tank, it has the same atmosphere. The same atmosphere. Now, of course, there's some atmospheres on a planet that are more nutritious than others. It has a better energy flow, that's all. But it's still all the same thing.
Where would that be?
Where would that be? Well, sort of like if you have one place that's, you know, nicer people, just to give you an everyday example, low crime, everybody smiles, compared to another place where there's high crime and stuff. One has a better energy flow than the other. That's all it is.
Sure.
But it's the same energy.
Right. Of course. Just more unencumbered, right? The energy is clearer in those nicer places. So tell me your relationship with the earth, right? With your feet on the earth and the rocks and the trees. Do you feel like you have a heightened relationship with nature as a result of this?
Oh, absolutely. See, we get these things called free electrons. In other words, we got energy actually coming from the earth all over the place. Free electrons. And again, they got scientific data showing, you know, when you make this connection with the earth, especially with no feet, we call it grounding and stuff like this, it does raises the energy volume of the body. And see, there's another key point. It's not just that you're getting the energy from the sun, the air, and all this other stuff on the earth. You have a lot of energy that's already in the body. So what you're doing when you're cultivating yourself, you're releasing the energy that's already in you. In other words, it's sort of like you're thawing out. You're thawing out. So when you look at a energy channel that's blocked up a certain way, it has an enormous amount of energy. It's just not flowing like it could. That's why we say this path is basically human potential energy. That don't mean it's going to be that, but it does have the potential. So when you start releasing things, allowing things to go, and a big one is past traumas and stuff, that's actually manifested within the body. So when you release stuff, you feel lighter, you feel better, you feel a better energy flow. So you're going through a healing path on many different levels, not just, like we said, the physical body, but the psychological mind. They're one and the same.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing. It is so amazing. And I don't think you answered the question. I don't know if you don't want to answer the question. You can just tell me that. But
what's that?
You don't drink water. You don't drink water. What do you drink?
Oh, no. See, this is what happens. You don't need to drink nothing. And I don't drink nothing like that. Only if I wanted to. And matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Would it be juice? Actually, when you're on these levels, you could drink anything.
Right.
Because there's no food on this planet. This is why you're breaking your belief systems. That's actually keeping you healthy. They don't have nothing to do with that.
Do you ever crave? Do you crave the memory of food?
Well, you outgrow that. See, that's why you're not forcing yourself from this. You actually outgrow it. See, the more you start making change in your body, you can even have a favorite food for a while. But when your vibrations start raising, the food start feeling uncomfortable, or your taste buds will change where you can outgrow it. So that's basically what you're doing. See, when you're trying to force stuff to go too fast, that's why it's easy to start binge eating. You go back and it seems like it's worse than before because you tried to force it. So it's sort of like when you were saying when you was lifting weights and stuff like that. But after the competition was over, it felt like you were starving because you were forcing yourself for an event. And this is why people are not successful on the Breatharian journey. They're trying to force themselves to become a Breatharian. And this is what I have to tell them. First of all, even break that belief system that you want to be a Breatharian. Your main goal should just be to connect with the light. And the more you get a better energy flow, not eating is just a byproduct of how your energy is flowing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Let's say that somebody start out and wants to do this the way that you are counseling people to do. They start out and they start fasting 1 day a week. And that feels good. And then maybe they go to 2 days a week. And if somebody follow the recommended regimen, how long do you think it'll take them before they feel good about no food at all?
Oh, but this is good. See, since our bodies is connected with the atmosphere, yes, the moon does affect us. It affects the electromagnetic field of the planet, so it affects us also. And the sun also does too, as it goes throughout the day. We got this. Seasons change the body. So when I say fast 1 time a week, you're putting in yourself in a cycle. What is that? 4 times a month? And then you do that by 12. By the time the year is over, you would fast about 48 times out of the year. So that's powerful right there. You got your body in another cycle. But also, you could also fast on, let's say, season changes from spring to summer to fall to winter. Because when the season change, your body's going to change with how the atmosphere is changing in that season. So that's why usually during the fall season, let's use that as an example, a lot of people start catching a cold or catching a flu. Because if the atmosphere change, your body is trying to release things out of it so it can change with the atmosphere. So once you know this knowledge, when the season change is coming, that should be your weekend. Instead of doing once a week, fast for 3 days now on the weekend during the season change. One time I said to somebody as the season was changing, I said, watch a lot of people walk around and start sneezing, blowing their nose. Sure enough, it happened.
That's right.
So you're putting yourself ahead of the game and becoming one with the atmosphere, because the truth of the matter is your body is already obedient to the atmosphere. It listens to the atmosphere more than it listens to us. That's why we talk about you getting back into universal laws. So not only you fasting once a week for the year, you're also fasting on diet changes. So by the end of the year is over, you probably would have fasted like 60 times. Listen at that. The average person ain't even doing that now. You know what I mean? 60 times out of the year. And it was done in a way where it wasn't hard on you. You didn't do nothing hard to yourself. And that's what people try to do too, force themselves. And I'm going to fast for 30 days and I'm going to do this and become this. And all they're going to do is cause a mess. That happens to so many people. But if you do things gradually, slowly, see, even in martial arts, it takes at least 2 years to even develop yourself to where you got good energy flow and you really know a technique, let alone 5 years and 10 years. Yeah. This is for the long haul. And a person actually gets better. This is how you got to start thinking about it.
Right. So the desire has to be there because, and this is something I work with people with their health and their bodies, and I have compassion. I was more than 200 pounds when I was, a teenager. So I understand what it's like to not be in control of my body. And then I understand what it's like to, co-create the better health that I desire. But it's, especially Americans, the programming around food, it's as if, my gosh, if you don't have lunch at 12:15, the world is going to blow up. I mean, it almost seems like that dramatic at times, and coming up against that is really a mind construct that we're dealing with, and it takes, it must take so much time and gentle persuasion and a lot of education. I can only imagine. Yeah.
And see, and this is what it boils down to. Let's really look at the body a different way now. The brain is the organ that uses the most energy in the body. Right. And if the brain don't get its energy, it'll start sitting you down, making a person weak, putting images in your head to go eat, because all it wants to do is get its energy. It's all about survival. Now, this is why you want to learn to meditate and learn to work with energy work as much as you can to learn this. Because when you start learning how to get the energy a different way than food, and if the brain is happy, it won't affect the body. If the brain is not getting its energy, it's going to affect the body. That's what it's boiling down to.
And there is part of the problem too, because the brain is wanting its energy, like here in America, and people are feeding it, things that are chemicals and things that are sugar and things that don't really properly nourish. So it wants more and more and more and more and more because it's not getting what it needs, right?
Absolutely. And then it'll make a person, when they don't want to exercise because of that type of energy they're getting, the brain is just basically trying to store the energy because that's all it cares about. So it's not really a person that's lazy. That feeling is coming beyond them because the body's trying to reserve the energy for when it needs it. So a person that's in this cycle don't know what's taking place, and they're thinking it's just because they got what it takes. But when you understand what this is about and learn to get your energy another way and learn to really get because the energy loves to move, the body loves to move, and really get in that cycle without beating up on the body, it'll start feeling more and more comfortable because it learned something new. So the behavior would change.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so good. That's so amazing.
And see, it's sort of like in yoga, one of their main things is to loosen up the hips. Loosen up the hips, the psoas muscle. And also in martial arts like Kung Fu, they loosen up the hips because the energy comes from the hips. Now, in spirituality, we've been using that term, that Kundalini energy and stuff. It's the same thing. They just using different names. But there's a lot of energy in the hip area. So when you start focusing on releasing that energy, and energy or heat by its nature, that's why this is science again, heat rises upwards. So when you're allowing it to rise upwards, you're bringing more energy to the brain. This is it. So that's why a lot of ancient symbolism around the planet, they got these two serpents coming up a staff, coming up a pole. And the pole just symbolizes the spinal cord, and the serpents just symbolize energy flow going upwards. So that's why you want to start releasing the energy at the lower half of the body so you could get more energy to come upward so you can have more overall energy. And keep in mind that that's the symbol for health.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Oh, my goodness. And then, so you do yoga and you walk, and do you do martial arts?
Oh, yeah. I do it all.
You do it all. Okay. So you are expert at moving that energy up and down your spine and where you need it. And that's what, unfortunately, so many people never even get to understand. You know, it's painful for them to begin, right? So then they don't begin, and then they never get. But there are smaller levels of it that people could really enjoy a healthier and a longer life.
That's what it's all about. Right? That's what it's all about. I like how you said that expert. Because perfect practice made perfect. And you should want to become good at moving your own energy. It's your energy. Learning how to move it. Because like we said, sickness, illness, and disease is basically energy blockages. People don't understand this. Exactly. But, it's coming out more and more, but that's the whole foundation of the Breatherian knowledge. All we did was just take it to a little bit more extreme because we looked at food and said, hey, that's causing major blockages.
Now, I can understand. A lot of people can understand that, yes, tapering off the food, we can get to the point where we do not need the food. And then some people will say, but what the water? We are evaporating, we are sweating, we need water. But I want to remind them of something. You can go to Amazon and you can buy yourself a little cylinder about that big around, about that tall. I know because I had one here. And little electronic in the top of it. You turn that thing on, and the fan sucks the air in, and it fills the container with water.
Here we go.
Yes, there's water in the air, and this can be absorbed in the body, and that is probably why you're able to not drink water. Could that be?
Exactly. See, all technology on this planet is something that the human being can do. We got to understand this. It's something that the human being can already do, human energy. And the reason why we made it, listen at this, it's just a replication of ourselves. That's all it is. So just like when you named the solar panel, and the solar panel can light the light, and we are light bulbs. Everybody's glowing. Everybody's connected to this energy. So what you're doing is you're raising your light bulb. Some light bulbs are brighter than others.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
So that's why
when we say this is a science, I told people one day, stop reading the spiritual books, go get a book on basic electronics. It'll tell you a lot about yourself.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Even doing a mudra, putting the fingers together, making that energy connection. That's an electrical connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also.
One of our friends in the chat room asks, Linda. She believes she's heard that the human body should be able to survive 200 years. What do you think about that?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, we're in an age where the lifespan is increasing all over the planet. So there is a health awareness going on. So we got that in the bag. And I always got to tell people, too, when we talk about immortality and those type of levels of longevity, a lot of your elites on the planet and, people in the know that's more educated is working on physical immortality. I mean, there's many different methods. But for us as humans to even have that thought, that means it's already capable.
That's right.
Right, for us to even have that thought. Oh, man, this is good.
Right. It's so good. It's so good. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Augie, what did you want to ask? Because I kind of cut you off there.
Oh, no, that's okay. I do want to ask, speak a little bit to the people about the importance of maybe the first stage and meditation.
Oh, got you. Now, all meditations, what they have in common is a comfortable position and relax. That's it right there. You're learning how to relax. So a person might say, oh, well, I know how to relax. Boy, relaxing is too easy. And now this is the key too when you're relaxing. When you learn how to relax and you're in a certain position and you're sitting there, your body could start feeling uncomfortable in certain places. So when a person feels uncomfortable, what do? They try to stretch or move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the key is don't stretch or move. Stay in that position that feels uncomfortable.
Right.
So that gives the body a chance to naturally remove the blockage on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. To try and relax into the discomfort, right?
Right. And see, that was the problem too. Even though yoga is popular and is all over the planet, this is what I see when I was over in India, because you might say, well, why aren't there more Breatharians? But what I saw was, because I was teaching them Qigong about staying in the position, a lot of people were not staying in the position because they were used to doing, moving it, when they feel uncomfortable, stretching into it and all this other stuff. And in the West, people, they're doing the asanas or the positions, but they're not meditating afterward. In other words, my yoga is over. I just did my stretches. But the asanas or the stretches is to stretch up the body so you can sit in a position to meditate. So people wasn't really meditating. They're just doing the stretches.
Yeah. Yes. And this reminds me of a conversation that I just had with Monk Zhu. He's an amazing being with that, like you, vast expertise of living in the body, controlling the body. I don't know, being one with the body. And he said something that was so brilliant that I never even thought of before. When you become so melded with your body that even when you're working out, and I know you're going to get this, you find that spot where even though you're in the middle of a movement, you can relax and get a small break, even though you're still moving.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
This is what it's all about.
I love that.
But the body could do some incredible things if people was to give it a chance, give it plenty of love, and put it in that position. Sort of like a plant. If a plant is in a position where it's not getting much sunlight, not getting much care and stuff like this, it's a whole different ball game if you replace it in another type of condition. So it's the same way with us. It's the same way.
Right. And
self-massages, massages, soaking the feet, all of this stuff. You're living a holistic lifestyle.
Exactly. And it is a lifestyle. I spend so much time trying to come up with the right words that will help people to understand. Right now, like in the women's arena, when we say, okay, you need self-love, they're thinking, okay, manicures and pedicures, and that's not it. The kind of self-love that I'm talking about is if we really, really, really love ourselves, we won't put things in our mouth that's going to cause blockages in our body. We don't put things in our body that makes us gain, excess adipose tissues, and it's so hard to crack through that understanding to see that's really, really self-love. When you say, I want to be healthy and I want to have longevity and I want to feel good in my body, and then you do something about it, that's self-love.
That's self-love. You do something about it. You looked at this situation, and that's a level of taking responsibility, basically. You're taking responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's why it even gets deeper too. Not only we get nourished from the air, the sun, the earth, we're releasing energy blockages in us. We also get nourished by other people and events. Other people, everything is energy. So your mind starts expanding. That's why they talk about you're expanding your consciousness. Because we always say everybody's you, but do you really believe that?
Yeah.
Right.
So you even got to grow into that.
Leak, and just when you're around good people, you feel better. But there's one thing that isn't talked about a lot. Once you start going down this road of what you're doing, there's things that happen. You start accessing higher levels of capabilities and consciousness, like maybe increased intuition, psychic abilities. Do you feel like that?
Oh, absolutely. And see, these things, everybody has it, but it increases. It increases. And that's what they learned, say, by you'll start trusting yourself more. Or you have that gut feeling.
Yeah.
And when it comes before, everybody has it, but it's either blocked up or a person's numb or they don't believe themselves. But the more you stay on this path and start unlocking the energies that's in you, it becomes second nature because you are everything.
Yeah.
It becomes a reality.
I see we are coming up. Go ahead, Marty.
Nope, I was going to say what you were going to say. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I see we're coming up towards the end of the show, but I want you to talk a little bit about your books, and you have a class coming up shortly. Speak of that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the 3 books, and I got another one coming out. I'm working on it. But anyway, It's Okay to Be Healthy was the first one, and not just letting a person know to start taking responsibility for their life. The second one, Human Photosynthesis, and that's if photosynthesis, we always get that to plants, the plant life. But for a human being to know that their body is actually doing photosynthesis, and it's in our face every day. In other words, like when they say we get vitamin D from the sun, that's actually photosynthesis.
Wow.
But photo just being light, synthesis being combining or putting together. So our body's doing that on an incredible level all the time, producing hormones and all these other interactions. And then the third one, Breatherian Nuggets, is just encouragement throughout as you're on a journey. Different quotes that really help you on the journey, keep you on track. So that one too actually helped a lot of people. And in our retreats, now this is the whole key with the retreats, and all the retreats are successful. I've been doing a whole lot of them all over the place, for years. But what it does is it allows the person to really understand what I mean by meditation. So you're taking people through different meditations so they can feel their own energy and start developing it. Feel their own energy, because that gives you a lot of power right there when you realize you got this energy that's yours, you have access to, and you can actually develop it. Now, the hard part is, and people got to understand this, even though you can be inspired and jump into it right away, this is why it takes time. It makes a difference when you're with a group compared to when you're by yourself. So what happens to a lot of people when they start up by themselves, their discipline in the energy work isn't developed yet. And dealing with your last habits, those energies are very, very strong. To get rid of old habits, to get into this new lifestyle. So that there's going to be these transitions, these battles, and everything else. So that's why it's good to at least go to classes, retreats, try to stick with a community as much as you can. So when you do feel like you're falling off, you got people that's there to inspire you to keep on reminding you to cultivate yourself. Because it's easy to go back into your own lifestyle. But anyway, we got one coming up this weekend. Me and Shayna Dean, the Light Being from Arizona. So we got us a nice little group online. That's going to be a nice 4-day retreat, 2 hours a day. A lot of questions asked, giving people a checklist to work on themselves. That's a chance for that 4 days for a person to see how far they can take their energy. But then we got another one also. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask how people can access that. Sorry, yes.
Oh, and for that one, I'll send a link to you after this is over, because you actually do it online to sign up. So I'll send a link to you.
Great.
And that'll be good. And but my other one is a 6-month retreat that I do all the time. So I got a group that we do 6 months, which really helps. And it's every other week. So 1 week we'll cultivate, working with each other every day. The next week a person has off. And that week that you're off, basically you got a chance to see where you're at by yourself, not with the group. So this helps people as they start developing. And then when they come back, they can tell about their experience, and we just keep going. And being 6 months like that, it really helps a lot of people because you got a longer haul to work on yourself. So I have to send a link to you on that one also. But both of these are great retreats if you just want to do one for the 4-day weekend, or do the one that's for the long haul for the 6 months. And the thing about the 6-month one, you can come in anytime. See, this knowledge is so precious. It's not like you have to start on the beginning to get this and this and this. Each class and each teaching is for the moment, because it's a holistic lifestyle. That's why you can start anytime.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Please give us your website one more time. This was so delightful. I hope you'll come back and talk with us again in the not too distant future.
Oh, absolutely. And the website is Elitom, Elitom, Al-Amin, ELAMIN.org. And actually the 6-month retreat should be on there.
Perfect. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I have a 4-year contract with my health coach. I'm not messing around.
Right.
I'm committed.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember one time I seen a newspaper article where a person said they finally hired a health coach because they found out they couldn't do it on their own, which was very powerful message. Yeah. Yes, finally.
And I also highly recommend to go to the website, and there is a few short videos on there. I watched them. I tell you, there are pearls in there. You got to watch those videos, because that involves your health and your mind and how you structure and get the two of them to work together with the universe mind even. So watch those videos on there. And beyond that, I have this favorite question I love to ask. And I usually kind of shoot from the hip on this one, but I will say, if you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
Oh, man, this is good. Keep up the good work.
Aw, that's so sweet.
And the universe is user-friendly. It really is. When you start going a new direction, the universe will really start kicking in, giving you what you need. Giving you the new information, taking you through things to really get you together, because it wants us to grow. I mean, that's just what it's dealing with. When you're dealing with these energetic forces, energy loves to move and it loves to grow, it loves to connect. So that's why you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to rush it. You start where you're at, whether if you're a beginner or advanced, it doesn't matter. You get just what you need. See, that's the miracle of the air, too. The air is a consciousness. The sun is a consciousness.
Yes, yes, it is. Everything is consciousness. So here we are at the end, but I
Thank
want to
you so much.
I would love to have you back on sometime in maybe a month or few. Would you do that for us?
Oh, that'd be great. I would love to. Just keep me posted and we'll take it even further.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. Nice talking with you. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you Friday night, 7:30, for the really quick, it's only 30 minutes, Quantum Wellbeing Show. Sunday night, 9 p.m., Augie's Paranormal Show, and then right back here next Tuesday. Take care of each other. Take care of you. Much love, everybody.